This is Ellen Butler, who was, as far as we know, locked here, or possibly in the women's prison if they hadn't moved it by the time she was incarcerated in Clink in 1470, right at the end of the Wars of the Roses. And her plight involved having been a maid at a house at the north side of the river in the city, and she was enticed south with promise of better employment by a man called Thomas Boyd. When she saw the kind of tavern Thomas Boyd kept, she went, "I'm not doing that, I'm a good girl," and very sensibly walked away. Thomas Boyd, unfortunately, was a very vindictive man, and he sued her. He got an indictment in the court that she had been trespassing, for which we may possibly read working as an unlicensed prostitute on his premises, and he had got her slung in Clink. We know she was in here because she wrote a letter to the Lord Chancellor. We don't know if she ever got out. Because not only do we not know whether he replied favourably or not, we also don't know whether she died before action could be taken. Now, I've just done something really nasty, and I'm sorry about that. But no, I don't think they did, unless they were being supremely ironic. I was. So I'm afraid the young lady can't get off the wall, and there's nothing that she can do while I'm stood over here to make me let her off the wall. Now, this is an extreme situation, but what I usually do when I've got a school group and I've got a hat is I hand the hat round and say, well, if I get 20 quid in the hat by the time it's cool, I'll let her off the wall. Because there's no way that's in this position she can feed herself or drink, and I'm bound to point out, though some of you have probably worked this out already, there are some things the human body is going to do irrespective of whether you want it to or not. This is, as I said, an extreme situation. It happened. The problem is that the jailers were not well paid. The only thing they had to make their money from was prisoners. The situation is corrupt from top to bottom, but it's the only way it works. So, there is no prison canteen. If you want to eat, your family and your friends are going to have to bring you the food. If you don't have any family and friends, well, you can beg out of the window. You saw the lady at the figure at the door. Or, if you're lucky, you can beg out on Clink Street with your irons on. After the beginning of the 17th century, when we start using metal cannonballs, we might stick a ball and chain on you. Those are clever. But if your family and friends bring you food, the keeper wants some. If they bring you beer, he wants some. If you get anything off begging on the street or out the window, he wants some. When your chains get put on you, the blacksmith wants paying, and the keeper is taking a percentage off him, and guess who's paying the blacksmith? You. If, when your chains get put on, you get a cut, it is going to get infected. There's no way around that. Because, I don't know if any of you saw Filthy Cities on the telly. The smell in medieval London was bad enough to wake the dead. In here it's worse. Because, as I may have mentioned, there's a river out there and it's tidal. So at high tide, parts of this prison are going to flood. The London sewerage system was not invented until the middle of the 19th century, incidentally by a man named Sir Joseph Bazalgette, which is a name to conjure with. But when the Clink was working, there were no sewers, except for the dirty great big one in the middle of London called the Thames. So I think you can guess what's going to be coming in here at high tide. Even before we get typhus, otherwise known as jail fever, which is spread by lice, which we get in the 15th century, there's 3 diseases. Camp fever, which was typhoid. The ague. Anybody know the ague? Malaria. And the flux. Guesses to the flux? Dysentery. So if your cellmate's got the flux, it's going to be really bad. On this happy note, let's go a little further through. Could you just pop in there?